Welcome to the Alain Elkann interviews, an unprecedented window into the minds of some of the most well-known and respected figures of the last 25 years.
You're back to London, right, for this big show, Dior show. London is your city, right?
I live here. I lived between here and Paris for 7 years, and then I wanted to be back here full time. Just because all my friends are here, my life is here.
Your roots are here,
exactly,
right?
Yeah. I was born in London, and then I travelled around the world with my family, and then I moved to a town near Brighton for a while, and then I came back to London when I was 19 and went to college, and then I moved to Paris for Louis Vuitton, and then I was back and
forth. But you worked in London before, right?
Yeah.
You had your own
I owned my
company.
label, and I worked for Dunhill.
And you were discovered by...
Yeah, I mean, Lee became friends with me when I was leaving college, and then John Galliano bought a large part of my graduate collection. And so with that money, I sort of started doing my own label, and that became successful. And then I worked for lots of other companies as well at the time and made, and that allowed me to grow my thing. And then I started doing all my production in Japan because I had a huge following in Japan, and it was much easier to make it in Japan rather than import it to Japan because that was so complicated. When you're young and you don't really know all that stuff. So, you learn on the job when you're an independent designer.
But you started very young, right? Why you had a vocation, or you felt you had a vocation for men's clothing?
Yeah, I mean, it was me and my friends, and we were just looking for clothes we wanted, and we couldn't find them, so I started making them. And that was kind of, would be just chopping things up. Sometimes you'd make a pattern, you just learn. And then I decided, I thought definitely in the creative sphere, but I thought, am I going to be a photographer? Am I going to be a graphic designer or an art director? And then I thought, well, fashion, you can do everything. So, that's the best thing to do.
But it's only now, that you work also for women's fashion.
Yeah, I've been doing it.
Because you work for Fendi. Right?
Exactly. I've done bits of women's wear behind the scenes, and I've worked with lots of women's wear designers. And it's nice, to do two things makes you think about the thing you work on, like Dior, in a different way. Because, Dior is working with an archive and Fendi is working with a family. So it's two different ways of working. And, Fendi's been a real great success commercially. The first bag we did is a massive hit, and things are just... It surprises me, it's like you go in and you're not really sure, but you just go with the flow. I don't make particular plans unless we're working on a collection.
You dressed like a young boy at the beginning, jeans and things like this, that you bought for no money with your friends. But then at the time, people were still wearing suits,
it was like mixing it up.
Much more than today. So how did you compose your style?
When I design, I don't design for myself. I've always had very expensive taste. It was something that was a real problem for my family. So I guess it's just the thing of, I like fine things. So to work in, these kind of brands, I understand what a consumer wants. So, I never think about me when I'm working. Your trousers, they're quite casual ones, and sneakers, because I wear what I'm comfortable working.
You love sneakers, don't you?
Yeah. It's so terrible because I've worn them all my life, and when you put shoes on, they're just so uncomfortable.
But you couldn't afford them at the beginning.
No, not at all. I mean, me and my friends would split, we'd go and do our dishwashing jobs and working in shops and share a pair of sneakers. It was like,
Why did you like so much sneakers?
I think because the ones I liked were quite hard to get in England, and, we looked at America and youth culture in America as this big, glamorous, exciting world that we didn't really have in the UK.
You mean the Nike,
Jordans, like all the basketball players.
And so now you do Dior's.
Yeah.
What's the difference?
I don't know. I think they're brands that people desire, and doing a Jordan with Dior and doing in the fabrication of a Dior, the techniques and a Dior factory, it's a new thing. And it's like, Christian Dior created a new look. I'm sure if he was alive, he would look at a sneaker and think, this is a modern thing. He shocked the world when he started. It was revolutionary, and it was very much about...
the new look.
Yeah, and it was really about...
For women.
Yeah, and it was like youth. So you think about what you do today, what will these people want? So, you do these things which people don't expect.
But how can you combine this fashion of today, which is very sporty, with expensive fashion? Because after all, Dior is a great name and people buy it for luxury.
Yeah.
So what makes the difference between what you buy in a sports shop or in a Uniqlo or something like that?
I think people that buy Dior, number one, when we start a collection, it's always with the tailoring, and then we work around the tailoring. I think people want the quality and the longevity of a product that lasts a long time.
Longevity still nowadays?
Yeah, completely. People really treasure their stuff. If you spend a lot of money on clothing, you look after it, for sure.
I thought that nowadays it was a different... Once upon a time you were mending, you were keeping for many years.
I mean, I always think about things in terms of past, present, future. And I think what these things we do now will be in the future, say in an exhibition of Dior. And what are these things now and where they come from in the past. So we look at the archive first, then we look at the present, and then we think about what's going to be in the future.
Are you British? What's the difference between a Savile Row suit and a Dior suit of today?
Well, it's like, if I was going to say to you about fashion, London is a menswear city because of Savile Row, Paris is a couture city, and Milan is a ready-to-wear city. So that's how I divide it up. Right. So, it's the manufacturing in Milan and working in Italy now. What I find particularly interesting is the craftsmanship because, we're working in an Italian house and the passover from the atelier and the design studio to the factory and the craftsman, you get a different feel to what you would get from Paris because it's made in the atelier in Paris, but then that product is then taken to Italy and manufactured and it has a different feel. And, and then in London, it's very much handmade.
What is the most difficult thing to do? A jacket, a pair of trousers, sneakers, shirts?
Well, the thing is with menswear, it's very strict. You have rules to it. There's only certain things you can do with pieces of clothing. I like to make clothes that are real. So, we can style it, make it look cool, but when you break it down, you could go into a store or I could go into a store and we'd both like the same coat, for example, because it's a really beautifully designed coat in a really nice fabrication. So that's number one rule for me. It's like it has to have an appeal to all men.
Is the cloth very important?
Absolutely.
You personally make the choice of...
Yeah, we go through it all. It's a very small team at Dior. It's not big. It's like maybe 20 people.
Where do you buy your clothes? In Scotland, in Italy?
In Italy, in England, in Japan. That's the three main places. And it's like suitings. We have a lot that come from the United Kingdom, a lot that come from Japan, and then lots from Italy as well. It's all... we only want to work with the best people.
But people don't wear heavy suits anymore, no? They like lighter or they're new materials.
Yeah, because you look at the climate. 9 or 10 months out of the year, it's hot nowadays. And then we have these very cold months now where you can... I like the cold months because you can wear clothes that you love to wear. Like I have a beautiful Vicuna coat. I have a Vicuna colour coat and then I have a black one.
But what is your favourite colour for men?
I always wear black just because it's easier. When I go to work, and because I think about clothes all the time, I just wear a uniform. So it's like either black. Today I'm wearing this because the other room is extremely cold. And then normally it's just like a black top and a black pair of trousers. And that's what I wear.
You said that you don't make clothes according to you, but according to the others. What do you like for the others? And is it different to dress a Chinese, an American, an English?
No, because men around the world have the similar sort of wants and demands, yeah. And I've seen that. That's the one thing I miss about COVID is I don't go to I go into every store in every city I go to and I talk to the people that work in there.
Because you're a great traveller, right?
Yeah.
But you're not anymore because
I have been travelling, but, I was meant to go to Japan for Christmas. I can't now because they closed the borders to the new variant. So, it's like I haven't been to Japan for 2 years and I used to go every 2 months. I've been to China for 2.5 years and China is a really interesting country because it changes so rapidly. Each time you go, there's something new.
It changes also in the taste?
Yeah, because it's like, they understand the future and they want it fast.
But you dress old men, young men, any kind of man?
Every single kind of man. I'm always surprised when I see what I think a young person is going to buy and I see a man that's about 50 buying it and he looks good in it. And I'm always shocked by who's buying what. But, generally it's like a very consistent overview of people that buy things.
What is the basic wardrobe for a man that you imagine? I come to Dior, or one of your shops.
A good pair of tailored trousers. They want a suit. I wear, these are tailored trousers, but they just have a few sporty design details. But it's a classic tailored trouser. But I just designed this for me.
Where did you learn to do them? In England?
Yeah, I just observed and I did, and I learned how to make a pattern and did it. You can look at clothes and you can see how things are constructed, and it's like you need to know that to be able to make anything. And it applies to so many. It's like tailoring is a very sort of detailed craft.
A classical tailor will make a dinner jacket, or who knows, a morning coat, but he makes all the same, only the cloth changes. You are fashion, so you probably change from, what are you doing in London, for instance? Is anything new that you...
Yeah, it's a lot of bias cut fabrications. So fabrics cut on the bias.
But what is the new thing? What are we seeing?
The clothes are very traditional. They have surface treatments that are different, and the way that they're put together is different. Basically, I looked at On the Road, and I was thinking about a traveling wardrobe, and almost like the way that they go through that story, and the idea of packing and unpacking a suitcase as you travel, and changing that outfit in different ways.
Men wear less and less ties, for instance.
There's a tie in virtually every look in this collection. All sorts of ties, some heavily embellished, some with sequins on, some with...
Because you like ties.
I like the concept of a tie. I don't wear suits to work because it's like will be running around doing things. It's not the kind of thing. I'd rather wear what I wear than see a man dressed badly in a suit, and that happens a lot. So that's something that I really...
So you make very nice suits to be sure that they...
Yeah, exactly. It's like there's nothing...
And when occasionally you wear a suit, what is your favorite suit?
I like flannel that's quite easy to wear.
Flannel?
Yeah, unlined, light, easy, but still has the structure
black,
here.
Blue, grey?
Black, navy, yeah, always single-breasted for me.
And the coat?
I like to wear double-breasted coat.
Double-breasted coat, single-breasted suit, shirt?
I like a little bit of stretch in my shirt. I know it's not that traditional, but it just means...
white, striped,
I like
blue.
White or pale blue. Classic blue. Just like they're the two I wear.
When a man is weekend or holiday or traveling or comfortable, how should he dress?
I think he can wear whatever he wants. I think
you dress today?
Yeah, I think it's
so what do you wear?
I'm just wearing a sweatshirt here because and then a t-shirt underneath, which I always wear a t-shirt, and then just tailored trousers. And
they're not all the same, right?
No, I wear the same t-shirt. The t-shirt I actually wear is Skims, which is made by Kim Kardashian, and it's the most comfortable, best fit I've ever found for myself. So I called her and I said, can I get... And I have drawers and drawers of them.
When we talked about morning coat, you dressed your friend Hickman
David,
for the famous wedding of Meghan, and were you disappointed?
I think if you know what you're doing, marrying into the royal family, you should be respectful enough to not talk about it after. I think that's quite distasteful. And that's just because I think manners, when you know what you're going into, I think it's never complain, never explain, as Kate Moss says. You just get on with it. But
when we talk about royal family, they have all these military clothes, all this.
Well, they're beautiful. We did the Peter Doig
jacket, blue, navy.
We looked at regalia for the Peter Doig collection, and it's less military. It's more about celebratory dress. Like who was the artist that we dressed? Where we actually made the coat for him for when he got inaugurated into the arts. The one recently, the guy that was inaugurated into the art thing, that we did this full embroidered...
Michel Ottonieri.
Yeah, exactly.
I know him well.
Yeah, and it's like...
One who makes this sculptures in glass.
And we did a very formal, beautiful ceremonial dress for him. So I look at ceremonial dress...
When he became an academician.
Exactly,
You made the...
And it's like nice to do something that's
But you are bespoke? Is your bespoke, or it's only prêt-à-porter?
Oh no, we do bespoke as well. If you come to Dior and you want to buy something special, we will make it for you.
And you see your clients?
Yes. It's like always. It's like I like meeting our clients, especially the ones that are very loyal to the brand and invest in the brand a lot. I like to go and meet them and know what their backgrounds are, what they like, what their life is.
And you suggest?
I never suggest to people because I don't believe in that. I like people to wear clothes how they want to wear them. You can suggest a cut that will suit them best, but I'm not going to say you should wear this because I think that's looking like a salesman, and I don't like doing that. I like to let people have I would never tell you what to wear. I'd never tell Giuseppe what to wear. I'd like different people wearing things.
But you like the idea that the world of today is very free, that you can dress in jeans or in a navy blue.
Yeah, because I think it's...
and it doesn't matter anymore, with a tie, without...
Not really, because it's like, when you go to school, you have to wear a blazer and a tie every day. And that's like...
But it's only in England. I mean, especially in England. In other countries,
yeah, we would be told off if your tie wasn't tied right.
So you like that? You like a rule?
I think rules are fine, but I think, we also, once you grow up, you live your life how you want to live it. That's the really important thing. I think people that don't live their lives how they want to live, it's pretty sad to see.
And clothes should be comfortable?
Absolutely.
Yes?
Yes, because you're in them all the time.
In your experience, now that you also work with women, men are as vain as women in their choice of...
Probably more vain. It's interesting working with women, and I have a team. When I work with women, I have Sylvia Fendi, Delphina Fendi, I have Amanda Harlett, I have Lucy, who's my right hand of 14 years, who also works with me at Dior. And it's like watching how women gravitate towards things is very different to how men do it. It's very much more emotional, and I think that's kind of interesting. And they all love the same thing. And men, I'm very decisive myself, but men get very indecisive buying clothes, and they find it quite stressful a lot.
Why? Because they're insecure?
No, I think it's because, women see women in magazines and they see something on someone, they want it because they think it looks cool. Men don't really have that thing where you're looking, David Beckham, for example, can sell a suit because he looks great in a suit. And David, when he comes into the fitting, he knows exactly how he wants that suit cut. He knows how it makes his, his legs look good. He knows how it makes his, his shoulders look good because he's tried on lots. And it's like...
And you have actors or public people, politicians, that you say they dress well, they don't dress well.
Yeah, I wouldn't talk about any British politicians, though. We have a very sad one.
You don't dress the Prime Minister.
Absolutely not. If he came to me wearing the suit, I'd tell him to go away.
But tell me something. When a couturier, famous couturier, would say the thing I like the most to do is a wedding dress for a woman, right? The white famous dress. What is the equivalent for a man? Dinner jacket or suit? Or
I don't know. Because we do some really exceptional pieces where we reference the archive of Dior, like the Peter Doig one, I think, where we did that beautiful first. It was a full coat embroidered with tulle over it, and it was like really spectacular. So Lucy is just and it was just like such a piece of craftsmanship. Sometimes when we do things for a fashion show, it's really just for special orders, but people buy those things and they might see this beautiful technique on it, but they want it short, so they can have it short. It's like couture in a way.
And a man can wear shorts in the city during the summer or not?
Well, you look at how hot cities are now. I think, if you've been in London in the summer or New York in the summer, it's like you don't want to have fabric stuck to your legs all day. You can look smart in a short. I don't like rules for men.
And the classic man doesn't exist anymore?
It does, I think. But I think the digital age has changed the way people think about clothes in such a huge way.
I ask you this because as much as you love new worlds, you are very keen on collecting rare books, and you're a reader. You like English literature, you have some special... And this collection is inspired, no? Yeah. The one you are opening. This we will say at the beginning of the interview, right? We are in London and you call your show Jack Kerouac on the Road. Yeah. Can you explain me what will be in the show of Jack Kerouac and why did you choose this subject?
Well, I chose the subject. On the Road was written in Paris. At the same time Christian Dior was alive.
1950.
Yeah, he wrote it before.
Started
on the
in
road.
47, 48.
But he planned that 10 years before. I have the letter he wrote to Hal Chase explaining the outline of On the Road, and he planned it 10 years before he wrote it. When he did the trip, and then he went to Paris and wrote it and had someone stitching the manuscript together while he was in Paris. That stitching together is the echo of what was happening at Christian Dior's ateliers. And also they were looking... Christian Dior was doing the new look. Then even further on when Saint Laurent was looking directly at the beat as, on the left bank as this source of inspiration. I thought, well, it's the perfect marriage between literature and couture.
But how do you solve this puzzle? How can you put together literature, On the Road, Beat generation? He's one of the fathers or the protagonists of that. Yeah, exactly. And fashion. What can I buy of Jack Kerouac? Being a man.
Well, we worked with his estate And actually, there's lots of clothes you could wear in that collection in different ways. You know, there's beautiful coats and tailored pieces which are in every single look, but then they're mixed with modern pieces. So it's actually looking at the idea of tailoring, but in a more mix and match way, where in that nod to American sportswear, which is actually comes from the time when Jack Kerouac, James Dean, Marlon Brando, they were looking at those things where...
Were they more elegant than the actors of today or the writers of today?
I think that it was new then. So, you know, they were dressing in jeans for the first time. They were dressing in T-shirts.
How was Kerouac dressing? Did I see a picture with a jacket?
Yeah, I mean, I did a full research, and it's like, you know, he was wearing knitwear, T-shirts, sportswear, denim, tailoring, all sorts of things. You know,
you like the American look?
I do. I think that was really modern for its time. You know, they weren't just wearing the suit with the tie. They were mixing things up, and you know, they were taking something that was a very new, inexpensive thing like a T-shirt or denim or workwear, and mixing it with a very nice, you know, because fabrics back then were really well made and constructed. So we look at those fabrics now and we replicate them for Dior because the quality was so good. So,
what kind of fabrics?
Like, you know, a cashmere mixed with wool.
You don't like synthetic. You use sustainable materials nowadays. Do. You care a lot about this.
I grew up all over the world. I care about it. I mean, we've done the beach capsule, which is like 80% recycled plastic. To get it to the standards of Dior, it's taken us 3 years to do so. In our permanence collection, it's 80%.
People are more and more keen on that, right? And aware of that.
I do a lot of work with conservation groups around the world to protect land and to protect endangered species because I grew up all over the world.
Is you or Kerouac? Now I confuse the two of you. Who was going to Ethiopia?
That was me.
So you have a very strong knowledge of Africa.
Yeah.
So what did you learn in this country? Ethiopian people are very elegant.
Super chic. And it was a country of so many different contrasts. And, you know, it has that relationship, you know, to Haile Selassie and, you know, the emperors and, you know, Christianity, which is like the only place in Africa that was really like that pre-colonialism. So, you know, they were a huge powering force. They're the only country, I think, that wasn't colonized. They beat the Italians at the Battle of Adwa.
Did you read Kapuscinski's book, The Emperor?
No, I haven't read that.
You go to Africa to resource yourself also, not from brief...
There's nothing I like being more than in nature, surrounded by wildlife and being away from everything. It helps you recharge. It's like when you do a collection, to go away and be away from everything is like the full stop after you've written the sentence.
That's what you will do leaving London in a couple of days?
No, I go to Rome to do couture.
When are you going away?
The problem is because of what's happening with this new virus strain, I can't go away for Christmas. So I'm staying at my house in Sussex.
Because you like your house in the country, not only London. But the street of London is very inspiring.
Oh, yeah, I love London. I mean, I couldn't live in the country all the time. I'd go mad.
And you like the fact that people in London dress in all possible ways and colour their hair. And
yeah, I think it's good.
Are you still taking the bus or the tube to look at people?
Not with COVID, no. I tend to walk or I have my driver.
And what about the style of, you like very much the Bloomsbury set, you know, from Keynes to Virginia Woolf.
I have John Maynard Keynes' bed in my country house in my study, I have Virginia Woolf's dresser. I have
you're also an economist.
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, he set up what Barack Obama used as his, you know, economic strategies. You look at the Bloomsbury Group, you look at him, he was 100 years before his time. You look at Virginia Woolf writing Orlando, that's 100
Orlando is your favourite novel by Virginia Woolf?
Yeah, because it's talking about now and it's talking about 100 years into the future. I have Vita Sackville West copy, which Virginia gave her.
That's great. So you're a bibliophile. You keep, you know, you look for first editions and family. And that's the way you invest your money. I mean...
Yeah. I like art, I like books.
But
I like nice
style of Bloomsbury was very evident, right? Tweeds and things. This is not your fashion.
Right. I mean, it's just because it's of a different era. It's 100 years ago. I have to look forward because there's, you know...
How do you imagine the world of tomorrow?
Well, if you think of what people thought of this world being in 1960, it hasn't changed so much. So, you know, in terms of...
You're not here thinking about going to Mars?
I'm not doing a Paco Rabanne sort of space-age modernist thing. I do real clothes. We just style them and make them look cool.
And clients today are as fussy as they were before in details and things, or they're less used
I think the team I have and the way that I work and the attention to detail, noticing details, I think people appreciate that in our work, and that's why they buy a lot of it.
How many people you have, you said, in your
About 20.
Who are they? Creative people?
Yeah. I mean, designers.
And how do you pick them up? You find them?
Yeah. Most of them I've known for a long, long time.
And what is your work?
What is my work? I direct them. I do some sketching when I have time, and I do the preparation of the research, and I give them all the things. But also I like to have different designers, and they know my taste, and they know what I want. And, we have the dialogue that is very, fluid, because we worked together for so long. Like Lucy's been with me for 16 years. And so if I say something, she instantly knows that this is what I am interested in. So it's kind of like, they're like, second family, I guess, where there's an instinct that we all know.
With all this experience, you are an elegant person, you like books, you have distinguished clients, you travel all the time, but at the end of the day, it's also business, right? You have to sell your clothes. And what is that? You sell them well because you have the instinct of what people want.
I listen a lot to stuff. I listen to information, I read things, I look at things. I love to see people in the street. That's why I like to walk, and I see stuff. And I'll just pick up one little detail on something, and I'll think about it all day, and then I'll go and put it into something. And it's like those sorts of things. It's instinctive. It's like, I don't know how it is. If I did, I'd teach people, make lots of money teaching them.
You're certainly talented, intelligent, but you also have a big common sense.
I'm practical. I think common sense is not a bad word. I think it's good. And I think it's also very English, to be honest. I think there's a logical side of me.
And who taught you that? Your mother, your father?
I taught myself, to be honest. I wasn't with my father that much. My mother died when I was very young. I learned a lot myself.
Your father you went to see?
Yeah. Right? I lived with him for short amounts of time.
He was a geologist.
And he taught me a great amount about taste and beauty and the world. And, he died last year, and I thanked him for all of that. So it's like, I wouldn't be who I wasn't without. My mother she set up libraries around Africa for different universities as well. She was the one that books comes from. He was the one that art and taste comes from.
And Africa is your inspirational place?
It's my place where I feel I'm switched off from work, and it's you go to recharge. For me, because it's the times in my childhood when I was really happy, wandering around, seeing animals, catching snakes, catching lizards, being a troublemaker.
You have animals yourself?
I've got dogs, yeah. I've got miniature pinchers, I've got a mix, and I've got a Pomeranian that owns everybody.
And you have them with you in Paris?
No, they're in London.
Because you live in London, you work in London?
Yeah, I have my studio
Dior Men is in London?
No, it's in Paris, but I have my studio, which is by Selfridges. My studio is a separate company that works for different companies.
So you don't have to stay in Paris?
No, I'm there not very often anymore. I'm there I'm there once a month, yeah.
So your city is London
and my satellite cities are Rome and Paris.
And you go to Africa to rest?
Yeah, exactly.
And with all that, are you a happy man?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah.
Because you did what you wanted to do?
Yeah. I have bosses, but I listen to what's wanted, but I do what I think's right, and it works. And I think I'm very left alone in the sense of doing what I want to do, because they respect me and I respect them, and I work for them, and I know that's my job to sell stuff, to do my job properly and to conduct myself properly, and that's what I do.
And you work very hard, right?
Yeah. I'm always working, but if you love your work, it's easy.
And you think of your work when you take planes, because you take so many planes and go...
Yeah, I don't so much anymore, but a plane is sometimes where I get very good ideas. Because I have no one interrupting. It's like there's no phone. So sometimes you get this bright spark and you just have to get a pad and just do it all.
And what do you do when you have an idea? You do a sketch?
I write it all down and I draw it, and it's like, can I do all the notes for it? And then, then I give it to Lucy.
And you still love sneakers?
Yeah. I mean, I don't buy so many anymore.
How many you have?
400 or more. I have a whole wall of them.
And how do you make the choice in the morning?
Probably the ones nearest me, because I don't like to think about it too much.
Well, listen, thank you very much.
Yeah,
thank you for the time you gave me.
No, thank you.
Alain Elkann interviews.